Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our um, Bhagavad Gita study group. Tonight we will be discussing Chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, Knowledge and Realization of the Supreme. We begin, as always, with a short vandana. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakai Chakuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tishe Namaha Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vatshalam Pangam Langayate Girim Jat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataram. So follow with your Gita, chapter 7, as we hear Srila Gurudev recite the verses.
ज्ञान विज्ञान योग श्री भगवान उवाच मध्याह्नमना पार्थ योगं जन्मदाश्रया असंशयं समग्रमां जपा ज्ञानसचितश्रेणौ ज्ञानं तेऽहं सविज्ञानमिदं वक्ष्यामशेषतः यद्गत्ता नेहुयो न ज्ञातव्यम् अवशिष्यते मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चित् चतुर्सिद्धाय जददामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन् मां वेत्ति तत्ततः भूमिरापो नलो वायुः खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कार इति यदमे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा अपरेयमितस्तन्नां प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे परम् जीवभूतां महाबाहो जयेदनुधार्यते जगत् एतज्जोनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणि तुधारय अहं कृष्णस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा मत्तः परतरदनन्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिकणा इव रसोऽहमप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि सूर्ययो प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु शब्द क्षेपौरिशोनिषु पुन्नो गन्न पृथिव्याञ्च तेजश्चास्मि विभावसु जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु बीजमां सर्वभूतानां विद्धि पार्थ सनातनं बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम् बलं बलवतां चाहं कामराग विवर्जितं धर्मा विरुद्ध भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभ ये चैव सात्विका भावा राजसास्तमसाश्चति मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि त्रिभिर्गुणैर्मयैर्भावैः एहि सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितः मामेभ्यो परमभयम् दैवी भेषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मयामेतां चरन्ति ते नामां दुष्कृतिनो मूढः प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमः माययापहृतज्ञान आशुणं भावमाश्रिताः चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनाः सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरार्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ तेषां ज्ञानिमित्तयुक्त एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोऽर्थः महं स च मम प्रियः उदारात् सर्व एवैते ज्ञानितात्मैव मे मतम् आश्रितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामे भानुत्तमां गतिम् Bahurang Janmanamante Jnanavan Mang Prapaddati Bahuleva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Surava Kamaseste Hita Jnana Prabhadanti Neva Nonna Devata Tang Tang Niyamahastaya Prakritya Niyata Swaya जो जो जंग जंग तनु भक्ता श्रद्धया चितमिच्छति तस्य तस्याचलमु श्रद्धं तामेव विदधाम्यहम् सात्वया श्रद्धया युक्त तस्याराधनमीहते लभते च ततः कामन् मयैव विहितानि हितानि अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्तल्पमेधसम् देवानि देवयजो जानति मद्भक्ता जानति मामपि अभक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धया परं भावमजानन्तु ममाप्यय मनुत्तमम् नानप्रकार सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूलयङ्नाभिजानाति लोकमामजमद्भयम् वेदाहं सामतीतानि वर्तमानानि चार्जुन भविष्यानि च भूतानि मन्तु वेद न कश्चन इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन दन्दमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप येषान्तन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते दण्डमहरिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रता जरामरणमुत्थाय मामाश्रित्य यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्म तद्विदुः कृष्णमध्यात्मं कर्म चाखिलम् साधिभूताधिदैवं मां साधिजगं च ते विदुः प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः इति श्रीमद्भारती संहितायां वैयासिकः भीष्म पर्वणि श्रीमद् भगवद गीता उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्म विद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्री कृष्णार्जुन संवादे ज्ञान विज्ञान योग नाम सप्तमोऽध्यायः।
The Lord said, O Partha, hear from me how with mind attached to me, the Supreme Lord, linking your consciousness with me and taking refuge in me alone, you will without doubt be able to know me, my holy abode, my opulences, and my associates.
Jai Srimad Devashis Prabhu ki Jai.
Now I shall reveal to you this knowledge of my absolute power, as well as the realization of my sweetness, knowing which nothing will remain to be known here on this supreme path. Of countless souls, few reach the human form. Of thousands of human beings, very few may try to realize the soul and the supersoul. And of thousands who have attained such realization, hardly one can actually know me, Shamasundar. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego are the 8 divisions of my illusory potency in this world. Commentary by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. In this verse, it is expressed that Gyan, or knowledge, in the true sense of the word and in accordance with the precepts of devotion, is actually Bhagavad Aishvarya Gyan, or knowledge of the supremacy of the Lord. The general seekers of knowledge may consider realization of the soul as distinct from the body and material elements to be enlightenment. But this does not constitute ultimate knowledge. Thus, to explain the conception of his lordship, the Lord reveals his forms, his potencies, and their characteristics. Quote, my different aspects are Brahman, Paramatman, and Bhagavan. Brahman is non-differentiated, formless aspect of my potency. Paramatman, the supersoul, is also an appearance of my potency in relation to the cosmic manifestation. And this aspect of mine is not eternally manifest. Only my form of Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, is my eternal self. And in this form, my three eternal potencies exist as Antaranga or Chit Shakti, the internal divine potency, Bahiranga or Maya Shakti, the external illusory potency, and Tatastha or Jiva Shakti, the marginal potency comprising the innumerable living beings. End quote. In this verse, the Lord has described his external illusory potency. This is quoted from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Continuing the verses. O mighty hero Arjuna, this external worldly nature is inferior, but know that superior to this nature is my marginal potency, comprised of the individual souls. Worldly existence is adopted by the souls for enjoyment through fruitive actions. The divine world emanates from my internal potency, and the mundane world from my external potency. The potency of the living beings is known as marginal, as they are constitutionally situated midway between these planes. They may choose to reside either in the mundane plane or the divine. Know that all species, either moving or stationary, are manifest from these two natures as the field of action and the knower of the field, and I alone am the cause of the manifestation and dissolution of the entire universe. O Arjuna, there is nothing superior to me. All existence depends on me, like gems strung on a thread. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water. I am the radiance of the sun and the moon. I am Om, the fundamental vibration in all the Vedas. I am the sound in the ether, and I am the masculinity in men. I am the pure fragrance of the earth. I am the radiance of fire. I am the lifespan of all beings, and in ascetics. I am the power to endure duality such as cold and heat. O Partha, know me as the eternal, original cause of all life forms. I am the intelligence of the intelligent, the power of the powerful. O Arjuna, I am the strength of the strong, without selfishness and attachment, and I am the desire for procreation in the living beings, which does not contravene the universal principles of religion. Furthermore, know that all things of the nature of goodness, passion, and ignorance are manifest from me alone. Nevertheless, I am not in them. They, subordinate to me, are in me. The entire world of living beings is deluded by the three modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can know me, the Supreme Lord, who am transcendental to these modes and immutable. My alluring trimodal illusory potency is practically insurmountable. However, those who take shelter in me can overcome this powerful obstacle. These four kinds of wrongdoers do not surrender unto me. Fruitive workers, comparable to animals. Fallen persons who take the highest path, devotion, but later reject it, considering it inadequate or worthless. Those whose knowledge covered by illusion, Maya, despite their scriptural study, they consider that only the form of Narayan is worshipable. And they think that Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, and other factual forms are merely mortal. And the demoniac impersonalists who dismember my form by their arrows of false logic, resembling demons like Jarasandha. O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, 4 kinds of persons have the knowledge to worship me: the afflicted, the seeker of knowledge, the seeker of happiness, and the self-realized. Of these 4 types of devotees, best is the self-realized person who is my pure devotee and whose consciousness is fully absorbed in me. For I, Shyamasundar, am very dear to him, and he is dear to me. Certainly they are all noble souls, dear to me, yet the spiritually self-realized soul is as beloved to me as my own self, for he has given his heart to me as his only shelter and ultimate goal of life. After many births, the enlightened soul, blessed with devotional association, realizes that everything is of the nature of or subordinate to Vasudeva, and thus he surrenders unto me. Such a great soul is very rare. Persons misled by worldly desires, being governed by their own natures, worship other godly personalities like the sun god and the many demigods, adopting the corresponding rituals to attain their objectives. According to a person's desire, as his faith grows to worship a particular demigod, I, as the super soul in his heart, make his faith strong in that demigod, representing a form of me. His faith, nourished by me, such a devotee continues worshipping the deity of that demigod and attains all his desired objects from that deity. Again, this happens by my sanction alone, since I am the supersoul, situated within the heart of the demigod too. But the fruit obtained by those unwise worshippers of the demigods is temporary. They reach the gods they worship, but my devotees come to me. My eternal super excellent nature, my form, qualities, activities, and pastimes are all transcendental. But unwise persons cannot know the truth, and they think the formless Brahman took birth in Vasudev's cell as an ordinary human being. By my sweet will remaining concealed by my own potency, I am not manifest to anyone and everyone. So the foolish cannot know me, the son of Vasudeva, unborn and ever existent in my divine Shyamasundar form of beautiful feature, like a blackish rain cloud. O Arjuna, I know all living beings of the past, present, and future, but no one can know me in truth. O Arjuna, chastiser of the enemy, at the manifestation of the universe, all beings become deluded by duality based on likes and dislikes. But the performers of virtuous deeds are purified of all sin by the fortune of association with my pure devotee. Thus, freed from the illusion of duality, they worship me with firm resolve. Those who strive for freedom from the world of disease and death, placing their trust and devotion in me, they know Brahman, they know the soul, and they know karma, the action that binds the soul again and again to this mundane plane of suffering. And those who know me in relation to the worldly plane, the celestial plane, and the plane of sacrifice, such persons, their consciousness absorbed in me, know me even at the time of death. Afflicted in the face of fearful death, they do not forget me. End of chapter 7, Knowledge and Realization of the Supreme. From the conversation of Sri Krishna and Arjuna in Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, the yoga scripture of transcendental knowledge, in the Bhishma Parva of Sri Mahabharata, the holy scripture revealed by Srila Vyasadeva in 100,000 verses. Okay. So, just to summarize this chapter, the best of all yogis is he who worships the Lord with devotional love, who follows the path of bhakti with steadfast attachment to Krishna, attains a thorough knowledge of the absolute truth in all its sweetness. Having reached the human form of life, one should use this rare opportunity to search out the cause of all existence. In the pursuit of this knowledge, hardly one realizes the truth of Krishna consciousness and comes to know the all-blissful form of Shamasundar, the beautiful reality that transcends Brahman and Paramatma. The Lord explains his threefold potencies of Yoga Maya, his internal bliss-giving, enlightening energy, Mahamaya, his external deluding energy, and Tatashta, or Jiva Shakti, his marginal energy, consisting of the innumerable individual souls. The Jiva Shakti is superior to the mundane world of Mahamaya, but being marginal and atomic, has the tendency to be overcome by Mahamaya due to the misuse of his minute independence or free will. The Lord further says that there is nothing equal or superior to him, and nothing can exist independent of him, being the source and resting place of all that be. The Maya potency is his divine energy, and so no one can cross over her unless they surrender absolutely to him and him alone. Four kinds of impious people never surrender to the Lord, and four kinds of pious souls come to take shelter in him, and realizing his aspect of Vasudeva, the all-pervading Supreme Lord within everything, and everything being in him, they worship and serve him forever. Such a person is indeed a Mahatma, or great soul, in the truest sense. Worshipping the Supreme Lord with exclusive devotion, free from all mundane desire, they attain to pure love. On the other hand, those who desire only transient and petty fruits worship the devatas or demigods, not understanding that even these petty fruits are in fact only received by Lord Krishna's grace, as the gods and goddesses are only the empowered agents of the Lord for universal management. Those who worship the minor gods go to them, while those who worship the Lord of all gods, Lord Krishna, go to him for all eternity. Ultimately, the supreme absolute truth cannot be comprehended by the limited faculty of human understanding, as he remains forever concealed by his internal potency. As such, the fallen souls think of him as the unmanifest Brahman, but he remains ever existent as the gorgeous Shamasundar, blackish like a new rain cloud, even when he descends in this mundane plane. Those who practice pure devotional service unto him, free from the dualities of this world and purged of all sin, realize this wondrous transcendental form even at the time of death. And the acronym for this, to remember this chapter, HEAD. Whether it's your next holiday destination, the choice of university for your studies, or the restaurant for next week's birthday party, most things in life require some research. While we may value our gut feelings, we simultaneously utilize our intelligence and exercise discrimination. The same goes for spirituality. It is not simply a sentimental impulse or practice. It requires intelligent research and information gathering. It is an affair of the head and the heart. Einstein once stated that religion without philosophy was simply sentiment, and in more acute situations, downright fanaticism. In chapter 7, entitled Knowledge and Realization of the Supreme, Krishna delineates certain philosophical truths to instill confidence and conviction in the process of bhakti yoga. So H for hearing, verses 1 to 3. Modern thinkers often posit a notion of proving everything empirically, rejecting anything which cannot be directly perceived by our senses. While this may seem a logical, objective, and rational approach, it does have inherent limitations. How do you understand those things beyond your immediate perception? For example, if you want to find out what BBC One was showing tonight, the most obvious approach would be to consult a TV guide. You could subsequently verify by actually watching the programs. In other words, we can't depend on our sensory experience to provide all the answers. Accepting a higher authority opens up new opportunities to experience the truth directly. Krishna begins this chapter by stressing the absolute necessity of hearing from spiritual sources to understand universal realities. This is known as the descending path of knowledge. E, everywhere. Verses 4 to 12. By hearing from authorized spiritual sources, one can acquire profound knowledge of the divine. In answer to the common challenge, can you show me God? Krishna cites the analogy of pearls strung on a thread. The pearls are perfectly strung and arranged as a necklace, while the thread remains completely invisible. Similarly, God designs, creates, and sustains the entire universe, yet remains invisible to the immature observer. The extreme intricacy and sophistication of the creation, however, naturally indicates the presence of higher intelligence. Krishna further explains how he is the essence of everything within the creation, the taste of water, the light of the sun, and the ability in man. In this way, through the eyes of knowledge, one can learn to see God everywhere. A, accept or reject, verses 13 to 19. If God can be perceived everywhere, and his existence is so strikingly obvious, why is there still wholesale denial of him? Resisting forceful compliance, Krishna endows each individual with the free will to fly their own plane and decide where to repose their faith. He describes the 4 types of people who reject God due to their preoccupation in worldly life, and the 4 types of people who do accept God, albeit with different degrees of selfish intent in conclusion. In conclusion, it is a rare soul in this world who is able to approach God free of ulterior motives and enter into a selfless relationship of love. That level of spiritual purity, Krishna says, may take thousands of births. And D, demigods, verses 20 to 30. Practically speaking, even a mere acceptance of God is a propitious achievement in this age. This acceptance, however, is not enough. One must gain an accurate and precise understanding. If you were to be operated on, you would insist the surgeon be well versed in the details and intricacies of the process. It is, after all, a matter of life and death. Similarly, to simply believe in God is not enough. one must understand his nature and personality. Towards the end of the chapter, Krishna establishes monotheism and distinguishes demigods as powerful entities in charge of universal affairs, who are in no way, shape, or form equal to God. Such dangerous misconceptions are cleared up, as they have the potential to impede the spirit of pure devotion. Right. Okay. All right. Very good. So, I understand there's a question from last chapter 6.
Yes, indeed.
So maybe we can hear that first.
Yes, Sripad Aditi says, Dandavats. I have a question about chapter 6. We hear that a yogi treats happiness and sorrow equally and is indifferent to them. And at the same time, he treats the happiness and sorrow of others as his own. Perhaps this is a play of words, but the question is, if he is indifferent to his own happiness and sorrow, does it mean that such a yogi is also actually indifferent to the material happiness and sorrow of others?
No, is the answer to that. Here, Krishna says, and it's not just a play on words, that the nature of the sadhu is to experience or perceive the unhappiness of others as his own unhappiness. But it isn't that, he laments because that person is suffering from, some material loss or something like that, like, for example, often we see, right, you see it, some young child has, some terminal illness. So everybody gets together and raises money to send him to Disneyland for the week or something. And they think this is a marvelous thing to do, right, for that person. But it doesn't mean in that way. Not that it means that the realized soul, or the yogi, that he understands the cause of the happiness and distress of this material world. And therefore, he must feel compassion for those who are suffering, especially without being able to understand what is the cause of their suffering. They cannot understand the cause of their suffering. So that's even more frustrating. So we hear there's one expression given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma, where one family member passes away, dies in the course of that, and it says that the Vaishnavas, they felt pain that a person would leave the world without having attained enlightenment in Krishna consciousness. So not that they were upset because the person had died, but because the person had died without receiving a real Krishna consciousness. So this is the meaning of that the self-realized soul, they do not have any want for themselves. They do not feel any elation when they receive something material, and they don't feel any sadness when they lose that material thing, whatever that may be. But the suffering of others is their own suffering. It is nature, natural, for those who have knowledge to feel compassion for those who are ignorant. There's a story often quoted, and maybe it's from the Panchatantra or something, I don't know. But it is about the sadhu and the scorpion. You know this story. So, and the sadhu comes to the bank of the river, and there's no bridge, there's no boat, there's no ferry, there's no way across except he will have to swim across. So he's preparing to swim across the river when a scorpion approaches him. I also need to get to the other side of the river. can I, when you're swimming across, can I sit on your head and you can carry me across? Sadhu says, only as long as you promise not to sting me. Yes, I promise that I won't sting you. Because you understand, if you sting me, I'll drown and you will also drown. Yes, I understand. So, okay, bargain is set. And then they're swimming across the river, and about halfway across, the scorpion stings him. And the sadhu said, "Oh, you stung me. Now we're both going to die." And the scorpion said, "I know, but it's my nature. I'm a scorpion. That's what I do. I sting. I couldn't help myself." And the sadhu said, "Yes, I know that." And he said, "So if you knew that, why did you agree to take me across?" He said, "Because I'm a sadhu, and that's the nature of a sadhu." So this is the meaning of that the suffering of others, the sadhu feels that suffering is their own suffering, but not in the same way as the conditioned soul feels that suffering. That they're suffering because of ignorance, because of a lack of knowledge, and because of a lack of their own self-realization. So that way, the sadhu feels compassion, and that compassion is what inspires the sadhu to teach the ordinary people about the science of God or the science of yoga. And that's the answer to that question.
Lovely, Prabhu. I just want to give the opportunity for anyone here to ask a question if they have it. Please don't be shy. Then we do have a message that's come in for chapter 7.
Yeah.
It's on the topic of overcoming Maya.
Mm.
According to verse 7:14, the only way to overcome the divine energy, Maya, that is difficult to cross is by surrendering only unto Krishna. How to apply this concept in moment-to-moment activities?
Well, either you're surrendered to Krishna or you're not surrendered to Krishna. So if you're surrendered to Krishna, then automatically you'll be able to apply that in moment-to-moment, everyday life, in every moment. Your activities will be inspired by your surrender to Krishna. So the surrender to Krishna doesn't mean, like a helpless surrender. It doesn't, as our Gurudev would often say, surrender doesn't mean surrender and lie down. It means surrender and serve. So there has to be, we've lost it. There has to be some movement from our side in our surrender to Krishna. And surrender to Krishna needs to be continual. So although even surrendering to Krishna once, if that's done with all sincerity, then the Lord promises to give his protection to that person for all time to come. And this is, Guru Maharaj quotes this from Ramayana in his Prapana Jivanamrita, where Vibhishana is the brother of Ravan, and he came to surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Ram. And when he came there and bowed down before the Lord and told him, I know who you are, I wish to surrender myself to you. Then all of Ram's associates, Lakshman, Hanuman, Sugriva, or so many, they said, no, you can't trust him. he's Ravan's brother. He's from the enemy camp. Well, please don't trust him. Then Ram said, no. Whoever once, even once, sincerely says to me, my Lord, I am yours, then I give them my protection for all time to come. So, although, sometimes we may feel that we wish to surrender ourselves to the Lord, and we may feel that with all our sincerity and our heart. Okay, we're back, aren't we? Then, but tomorrow we may not feel that. We may feel something else tomorrow. Something else may come into our purview, and they say, you know what? I want to give that a try instead. And we find that happens all the time. But so it's a continuous process. So then the example's been given like a child learning to walk. In the process of that, he'll get up and toddle along for a few steps and then fall down again. But that's okay if he gets up again and tries again and tries again and tries again until then walking becomes natural to that person after a while. So similarly, our surrender to the Lord, it's a continual thing. It may be sincerely and heartfelt surrender today, but tomorrow may be another thing. So, but the Lord doesn't consider that. He knows that we're like babies trying to learn to walk. In fact, it's saying for those who have fallen, the earth is the only means by which they can rise again, by using the earth to rise up again. So then it says, so those who have offended you, O Lord, you are the only shelter to help them rise again. So this is our predicament, that we may, in the beginning, our devotion is not steady. It's called chanchal. So that means coming and going, today it's there, tomorrow it's not there, then again, the next day I feel it again, so this is natural in the process of surrendering to the Lord. Just the fact that we've tried it, that we've attempted to do that sincerely, that will carry us, that will save us. Krishna says even a little progress on this path can save one from the greatest fear. So this is, it may be in our day-to-day life that we can't always make decisions or deal with circumstances as a surrendered soul to the Lord. But when we can, then we'll get the proper inspiration. So just keep trying, As, what does that song say? You've got to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Hold on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. So this is what we have to do. Just keep trying.
You got a heart for that.
Keep trying.
A little follow-up question to this similar theme is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And we want to ask, what can we do when that does happen, when we do forget and when we don't remember?
That is inevitable, that we'll be carried away by the material world. The world is full of distraction, and probably more so now than it ever has been. There's distraction on your phone, like anything that you can think of, that you can be distracted, like perpetually. I mean, when I was growing up, right, we had like 3 television channels, and that was only for a few hours, right? At like 10:30 or something, they used to play the national anthem, and then there was that was it. But now it's like 24 hours a day, 200-300 channels of rubbish, to distract you, and that that's just like on the television. What to speak of on the internet? And everything is there. Whatever you're doing, there's something to distract you, isn't it? Whatever you're doing, then some advert will come up, or something will come up, or and we all know that you can just go from one thing to another to another to another. It's called clickbait, right? Click on this, go there, well, then click on this, and you can waste your whole life doing that, being distracted. So this is why we have to practice sadhana. Sadhana means that we take some time, deliberately time in our day, to practice being with Krishna. Excuse me. And this is sadhana bhakti. And the best sadhana for this age is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And the mind is like a rocket. Whatever direction you point it in, it'll go that way. So that's why it's advised to do your sadhana early in the morning. Before you do anything else, practice some sadhana, chant the Lord's holy name, and direct your mind like a rocket in the direction of your spiritual achievement. It is not, a luxury. Sadhana bhakti isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. We have to give some time for that. And that means removing everything else that's a distraction. So switch off your phone, switch off your computer, get your japamala out before the children wake up in the morning, or whatever it is, your duties that come first thing in the morning. Before that, take the holy name of Krishna and try and point yourself in the spiritual direction. And you will see change in your life, actually. You will find that your whole day goes in the spiritual direction. It doesn't mean that there won't be any distractions. It doesn't mean that there won't be any other duties or things that you have to perform, but always your mind, and especially if you do it regularly, will be predominantly fixed on the service of Lord Krishna. And that's the most important thing. That you can do anything and everything in the world, but don't forget Krishna and always remember Krishna. That's how we do it. That's how you always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, is start every day in a Krishna conscious way.
Another question is, could you please elaborate on the difference or similarities between Gyan, knowledge, and Vigyan, realized knowledge?
Could you repeat that, please, louder?
Could you please elaborate on the difference or similarities between Gyan, knowledge, and Vigyan, realized knowledge?
Yeah, it's a simple thing. One is a theory, and one is the actual fact of the knowledge. So what do they say? One way of thinking about it, right, is to know.
Bluetooth connected.
Knowledge and realized knowledge. So or you can say realized knowledge means wisdom. Okay, so knowledge is one thing. You know the theory. So very maybe frivolous, simple example. By your knowledge, that a tomato is a fruit. But if you're wise, you know not to put it in a fruit salad. isn't it? So it means the practical application of that knowledge. The theory is one thing, and you can read the theory in the book and you can think about the theory. But when you apply that to your life, then that theoretical knowledge will become realized knowledge or wisdom. So it's a matter of two things. One, experience in the world that gives us realization, and grace, divine grace, gives us realization, especially in the subject of spiritual truth. So, but spiritual truth is also, if we are open to it, it is also self-evident. When you understand that, then your heart will give a yes to that. And that's important. So it's told in the scripture, right, that if three things are in consonance, then they can be understood as the absolute truth. If they are in agreement with Guru, with Sadhu, and with scripture, the Shastra, if these three things, the Guru, the Sadhu, the Shastra, if they all agree, then that is truth. But Srila Maharaj says, but there must also be a fourth element. And the fourth element is acceptance of the heart. The heart has to say yes. So our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he would always say that you have to make yourself a proper receiver of the truth. So the truth is already there. The truth is floating everywhere. The truth is coming, being transmitted from the spiritual world all of the time. The only thing is we can't perceive it directly. But it is there. Just like now, there's so many radio stations being broadcast, isn't it? But unless you have a receiver, wireless or radio or whatever it is, and you tune into that station, you won't hear anything. But when you tune in, then you can hear your favorite type of music, whatever it is, by tuning into the right frequency. So similarly, Srila Gurudev would say, we ourselves have the apparatus within us to tune in to the absolute truth. That is always being broadcast, coming from the upper section down to us. And we can make ourselves a proper receiver of that. And how to be a proper receiver is to practice humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others without wanting any honor or respect for ourselves. And this formula has been given to us by Sri Chaitanya Dev. And that is, it's the secret to making yourself a receiver of real knowledge, absolute knowledge. Not just theoretical, but practical wisdom. Yes.
Okay.
In this chapter, it's mentioned about demigods, and Krishna has not nullified that they don't exist or whatever. So I'm really glad about that. Because in being born and brought up in a Hindu family from childhood, we all go through several mantras and gods, and we celebrate so many different festivals across the year. It's very hard to leave, not to believe in them.
Yeah.
So it's really great that Krishna has acknowledged that. But how do we bring this unification? Krishna is not saying that don't leave them. Krishna is saying that I am there, they're all within me.
Yes.
But when you're a child, you're a student, we pray to Mother Saraswati. Then for wealth, Mother Goddess, Lakshmi, and all those stuff. So how do we bring this unification? Somebody who's lived all their life, because it feels to me, I have got everything, thank you, now I'm going to Krishna. So it feels like I'm leaving them.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Thank you.
It's first of all, we need to understand.
They hear the question. Yeah, I'm not sure if Hari Gopal. Maybe yes. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, we need to understand that the devatas are they are real, they do exist. 44 million devatas. There's a devata for practically everything. But the more prominent ones we know, right? We know. Devi, Saraswati, Surya, Ganapati, and so many. But it is also the second offense to Harinam is to consider that the devatas are on an equal level with Krishna. And Krishna is explaining this in this chapter. And but it doesn't mean that we should not give proper honor and respect to them. We should do that, but we should not confound them with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's just like sometimes we have visitors here from the government come here. We have some friends, nearby friends who are councillors, or there was one who was the mayor of the local borough. And he came.
His wife is here.
Okay. So then he mentioned one time that for all intents and purposes, I'm the representative of the king. So, and this is a fact, right? The mayor of a borough is the local representative of the king. But the mayor doesn't think that he's the king. Doesn't mean that he can rock up to Buckingham Palace and, have everything that King Charles is, being given. But if anyone needs in the local area to connect with the king, it's the proper tradition is to go through the mayor. So similarly, the devatas, they are empowered by Krishna in their various capacities, like Indra in charge of the rain, and Saraswati in charge of learning and arts and music and all of these things. And so different devatas in charge of different things, but they are also devotees of the Lord. And this is our proper way of understanding their position. There was, in India once, there was a Mughal king, and his name was Akbar. And he was a Muslim, but he liked the Hindu religion very much. In fact, one of his wives was a Hindu princess. And through her, he learned many things about the Hindu religion. So once in Delhi, they made an exhibition of all the devas in a big hall. I mean, obviously not 44 million, because that would have been a really big hall, but the main ones. And he was invited to the opening of that exhibition. We heard this from Guru Maharaj. And he came there, and he cut the ribbon or whatever it was, and they gave him a tour of the exhibition there. So they had like dioramas of the different gods and goddesses. So who is this? Oh, this is Surya. He's the god of the sun. He provides heat and light, or like that. And this is who? This is Saraswati. She's in charge of the arts and learning and all of this. There's different, going one by one, all the different devatas. And then finally they came to the Krishna exhibition. And there's Krishna. He's playing his flute. He's with his cowherd boyfriends, and the cowherd girls, they're also there. Some cows, some forests, some river Jamuna is there, and very happily. And Akbar said, "So who's this?" Sorry, it is working.
It's like
It's
a
just
pig.
scratching on
You're
it.
big with a gun.
Oh, the garden.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. So then Akbar says, who's this? This is Krishna. And what does he do? You know, so they've told everyone this one's in charge of the weather, this one's in charge of the sun, this one's in charge of this one's in charge of that. And this is Krishna. Then what does Krishna do? And the guide thought for a minute and he said, he just enjoys himself. He just plays his flute and dances and plays in the forest with his friends. He doesn't have any duty in the world, you know. He just enjoys himself. And Akbar said, being very clever and intelligent man, he said, this is your highest conception of God. This is God. God doesn't have to be involved with all the minutiae of the world. He has his mayor to do that, or he has his representatives to do that, and those are the Devashis. So, but Krishna says, but you should know that whatever they can give to you by worshipping them, ultimately that comes from me. So if we understand that, then we can make the proper adjustment that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is given by Devashis. After, in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, after speaking even about all of the scheduled incarnations of the Lord, then he says, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Shayam. That means, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna is the cause of all. And he tells that. Guru Maharaj says, no other scripture in the world does God so shamelessly plead for his own position. I am the cause of everything. Everything is in me, nothing in me. Everything is coming from me, dependent on me, like gems strung on a thread. And this he tells over and over again to Arjuna. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Maya, no one can cross this Maya because she's my divine energy. But who surrenders to me, then easily they can cross. So it is, that's why our Guru Maharaj is told in this translation of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. And this is the hidden knowledge given in Bhagavad Gita. It is Krishna says this is the king of knowledge, the most secret of all secrets. That I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Narayan, I am the cause also of Narayan. Now, most people consider, Krishna is the eighth avatar of Vishnu, of Narayan. Then Vishnu must be the Supreme. And, he looks like he's the Supreme, right? He's got 4 arms, he's got the weapons, all the majesty and everything. But the actual fact is that Krishna is also the cause of Narayan. He is the origin of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. This is the first verse of Brahma Samhita, the prayers of Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. And he says, Krishna is the Parameshvara, the supreme enjoyer, the supreme benefactor of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchid Ananda Vigraha. He is the embodiment of truth, eternity, and bliss. Adir Govinda. And he is the original cowherd boy of Vrindavan. Sarva Karana Karanam. And he's the cause of all causes. So everything is coming from him. But people will say, but Vishnu, he's coming as 8th avatar of Vishnu. It is true that he comes through that agency. But he is the cause of Vishnu also. And that is how we can understand that. We can go back to our example of our own king, Charles, right? So he has so many titles and so many like official duties that he has to do. Sometimes that requires him to go in a gold carriage, right? Pulled by horses. People stand on the side of the road waving their flags, and everyone thinking, wow, he's the man, he's the king. So no doubt he feels some pleasure in that situation, being the king with wearing the big crown, all the rest of it. He, no doubt, that gives him some happiness. But we can understand that he's almost certainly more happy when he's at home, take off the crown, puts on his slippers, has a cup of tea, got the kids all around him, watching the TV. Like in his home life. That will be actually more pleasurable to him. So Narayan, Vishnu, is Krishna in his majestic aspect. He's God Almighty. He's the greatest, and the supreme Lord of everything, ruling everything, the maintainer of the universe. But in his home life, his inner life, he's a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, playing with his boyfriends and girlfriends. And only there, all rasas are enjoyed by him in their fullness. In Vaikuntha, only 2.5 rasa, not all 5 rasas, only 2.5. And there is Aishwarja. That means awe and reverence. In Vrindavan, no awe and reverence. By the arrangement of Jogamaya, they don't even know that Krishna's God. They're just his most beloved friend, most beloved boyfriend, most beloved son. And they do not think of him as God. When Yashodamai, Krishna's mother, she looked in his mouth because Balaram told her, he's been eating dirt. She looked in his mouth, and when she looked in his mouth, she saw the whole universe within his mouth and saw herself looking in Krishna's mouth. And she was completely bewildered to see this, and she started thinking, who is this boy? Is he some mystic, or is he God himself? There's thinking like that. And then Guru Maharaj said, then the cat meowed. And Krishna was afraid of the cat. And then Mother Yashoda thought, he's afraid, I have to look after him. He's afraid of the cat, give him some milk and he'll be happy again. What am I thinking? Maybe he's God. What a ridiculous thing to think. So, because that would spoil things for Krishna. If everybody saw him as the supreme Vishnu, they wouldn't be able to relate to him. Sometimes he fights with his friends, and he has to carry them on his shoulders if they have some team game, and if Krishna's team loses, he has to carry his friend on his shoulders. You can't go to Vaikuntha and climb on the shoulders of Narayan. That would be a punishable offense. But Krishna loves that, and when Krishna and his friends are eating in the forest, one boy will say, oh, this is really nice. Krishna, you must try it, Krishna. And his half-eaten food, he gives it to Krishna. Or sometimes Krishna is stealing from their plate. What have you got? I want to try. That also, you cannot do in Vaikuntha. Take your half-eaten food and offer to Narayan. Impossible, even to think of such a thing. So this is God in his interior life, his family life, his most intimate aspect. And that is Krishna of Vrindavan. And this was shown by Akbar. He understood that. Oh, he just enjoys himself. Yes, this is your highest conception of God. If you will show the Narayan part of the exhibition. Well, what does he do? Well, he's the maintainer of the universe. He does this. He also has some duty that he has to do, but not Krishna. Krishna just enjoying himself. And it doesn't take a great leap for us to understand that. If we were God, would we be an enjoyer of life, or would we be, like some old man with a long beard sitting in the cloud, throwing thunderbolts on the wicked? Or would we just be like the supreme enjoyer of everything? This is Krishna. He is the supreme enjoyer. That was that Nietzsche. Nietzsche said, I could only believe in God if he was a good dancer. Well, there you are. That's Krishna. He's Nataraj. He's the greatest dancer. Then even Krishna is even a god that Nietzsche could appreciate. And so our Guru Maharaj would coin this phrase, Krishna, reality the beautiful. So, often people say, oh, you need to wake up to the harsh reality of life, young man. But we don't agree that reality is harsh. We believe that reality is beautiful, and reality, the beautiful, is Krishna. And once Guru Maharaj just said, we were with him in the morning, and the first thing he said to us was, reality is dancing. What do you think about that? Now, this is the fact, right? This is Krishna, the beautiful reality. The reality, the beautiful, the dancing reality. This is Krishna. So it is just a matter of understanding. We do not belittle or oppose the worship of the devatas. We honor and respect them, but we honor and respect them as representatives of Lord Krishna and subordinate to Lord Krishna. They will not disagree. We see that in Krishna Lila. We see Lord Brahma was bewildered by Krishna. Indra was bewildered by Krishna. And all of them, when they finally realized their mistake, or forgive us, we didn't know who you were. So this is there, part of Krishna's Leela, to teach us that. And if we think that, it is popular in India, as it's called Panchupasana. That means worship of 5 gods, and you just choose whichever one you like, There's Surya, there's Ganesh, there's Devi, there's Ganapati, only that's Ganesh, and Vishnu, and who's the fifth? Devi.
Durga.
Durga.
Bhagavati Durga.
Yeah. So in India, this is called Panchupasana, and they teach that they're all the same. Whichever one you choose, that's up to you. They're all the same. But it is not true, actually. It is a misconception. And it is that misconception culminates in Namaparad. To think that the gods are equal with Krishna. They are not equal with Krishna. They are all subordinate to Krishna. But they are not separate from Krishna. They are also necessary to manage the universal affairs of everything. You can become one of the devata. It's a post. They're jiva souls like you and I, but they're much more in a much more elevated situation. But you cannot become Krishna. You can be born as Lord Brahma and have your own universe, everything, if you want. But you cannot ever be Krishna. And this is, we must remember that. Then, say, understanding will be correct. This is all about proper understanding. It's called Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan means that which we need to know. That knowledge that we need to know. We need to know who is Krishna, who are the devatas, what is Krishna's position in relation to them, and our relation to the devatas also. We see when Mahaprabhu traveled throughout South India, he visited many temples of the different devatas and bowed down to them and did Sankirtan before them. It is not there is no rivalry or competition. Guru Maharaj told us, he said, especially in South India, there's always some clash between the Shivites and the Vaishnavites, right? So, in fact, the South Indian Vaishnavas, they say, if you're being chased by a tiger and the only way to escape is to enter the temple of Lord Shiva, better to enter into the mouth of the tiger, yes. They say. But we do not agree with that.
Yes.
Because Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, he is the greatest Vaishnava. And his position also is a very unique position because he is Narayan. Actually, when Narayan, this is also confirmed in Brahma Samhita, when Narayan wants to create this material world, he glances over Maya, and that glance is Lord Shiva, takes the form of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva impregnates Maya, and the whole creation takes place. Because Narayan never touches the material world. But through the agency of Mahadev, Shiva, he creates everything. And Sada Shiva, Shiva has two forms, Rudra Shiva and Sada Shiva. Rudra Shiva is the god in charge of Tamaguna. And Sada Shiva is Lord Shiva in his aspect as a pure Vaishnava. And that Sada Shiva resides in Vaikuntha. So this is one of the four tattvas not possible to properly understand by intellect. That is Shiva Tattva, Guru Tattva, Nam Tattva, and Dham Tattva. These four you cannot understand by your intellect, only by revelation. Shiva Tattva, one of those. So we do not have this type of rivalry. Vaishnava, we consider Lord Shiva to be the Vaishnava Shrestha, is also called the leader of the Vaishnava, and Vaishnavara Yatan Shambhu, the greatest of the Vaishnava in his particular field, you can say.
Thank you.
We have one more question from Shreyesh.
A bit louder, yeah.
In this chapter, Sri Krishna speaks about revealing the knowledge of the absolute power to Arjuna. Why did Sri Krishna choose Arjuna for this and not any of the other Pandava brothers or any other personality from the Mahabharata?
Good question. Because Arjuna he's called Krishna Bandhu. He's Krishna's bosom friend. So this is also necessary that Krishna will only reveals himself to his devotee. So he wants to also through the Bhagavad Gita, he wants to give honor and to exalt Arjuna, his position. So there's a whole history, of course, if you read Mahabharata, that Lord Krishna, everyone knows his position actually there. And and Krishna is also, in the worldly sense, a king. He has a king, and he has a kingdom, and he has an army also, and a very powerful army. But everyone knows if Krishna takes part in the battle, then there's no contest, right? And Krishna also knows that, and also Balaram knows that. So Balaram, when the war was taking place, he went off on Tirtha Yatra, went to visit the holy places of pilgrimage, because actually Balaram a little bit, you could say, a little bit preferential towards Duryodhana. He liked Duryodhana. In fact, one of Balaram's names is Duryodhana Guru, because he taught Duryodhana how to fight with the club, and he also taught Bhimsen how to fight with the club. So Balaram's like, I'm not going to be involved with this, and so he went on Tirtha Yatra. Then Krishna also, he says, okay, so they're thinking like, on whose side will Krishna fight? They're thinking like that. Duryodhana thinking, if he's on our side, then we'll win. And Arjun thinking, if he's on our side, we'll win. They know that, right? So then Krishna decides that he will be, what they say, a non-combatant in the war, right? So then they both come to see him, both Arjuna and Duryodhana. And when they come, Krishna's sleeping. So then Arjuna sits at Krishna's feet, and Duryodhana sits next to his head while he's asleep. And when Krishna wakes up, first thing he sees is Arjuna at his feet. Then he says, "Oh, okay, boys, I've decided that you can choose. You can have my army will fight on your side. Or you can have me, but I won't fight. I can do something menial thing. Drive your chariot or something, then but I won't fight. I won't pick up any weapon. I won't, Then Duryodhana thought, Krishna's just one person, right? But his army is like very powerful army. Then Duryodhana says, yes, please, I'll have the army. And Krishna says, well, when I woke up, I saw Arjun first, so he gets first choice. And Arjun, without even thinking of it, he said, yes, Krishna, we'll have you, even if you're not going to fight. We'll have you. So both parties were happy, actually. Duryodhana was happy, Arjuna was happy. And the Krishna's army fought on the side of Duryodhana. But because it was inevitable that Krishna must be on the side of the Pandavas, and he must be with Arjuna. They are Narayana. They are Narayana. Then it could not be any other way, and only Krishna's bosom friend Arjuna could be the recipient of the Bhagavad Gita. And for that, we are eternally indebted to Arjuna, because Arjuna, he represents us in the context of the Gita. He loses his composure and doesn't know what to do, and says, I'm surrendering to you, Krishna. You please instruct me. And this gives rise to the conversation which we are studying now. So everything happens by the Lord's divine will. So we can say, oh, why didn't he speak this to someone else? Or, all of these things. Because that wasn't his will. His will was to teach this to Arjuna. And through Arjuna to teach this to the world. And right at the end of the Gita, Sanjay says to Duryodhan, you know, because Duryodhan's saying, you know, like, who's going to win? What's going to be the... at the beginning, he says, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do at this place, this battlefield? And this is making this differentiation, although actually they're the same family, but he's making this differentiation, my sons and the sons of Pandu. But right at the end, Sanjay says to him, you want to know who will be victorious, but wherever Krishna and Arjuna are, there can only be glory and victory for them. You know, it's a foregone conclusion. If Krishna and Arjuna are there, they're going to win. There's no other outcome. There can be no other outcome. So it isn't the same teaching that Krishna spoke to Arjuna. Later he spoke to Uddhava, and that's also famous in Srimad Bhagavatam. That's called Uddhava Gita. Same teaching, but different outcome. As Uddhava, a different person, different kind of person, and than Arjuna. So it's like the prequel, if you like, the prequel to, or is it sequel? Sequel, I suppose, because it's later. The Bhagavad Gita is Uddhava Gita. So everything happens by the will of the Lord, and all I can say is, you know, if you're still not clear about that, you can ask him when you see him. Just like a couple of minutes. Anything else? I'd like to say, you know, quick question, but it's never a quick question, is it?
Well, something does come up where we're talking about surrender, but Arjuna is expressing bewilderment, and there is sentiment there. And I've been thinking about surrender, that it isn't necessarily without emotion, right? It doesn't mean that it's done without sentiment. Things are overcome.
Yeah. Because everything has to be real. It can't just be, you know, a rote type of reactionary predicament. It has to be real. I mean, there has to be some desperation on the part of Arjuna for it to be real, that conversation. So, you know, then it says in the Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami, there's one Sandarbha where they're discussing Guru Tata. And there he says that the disciple should approach the spiritual master with what kind of attitude should be there that they have when they approach the spiritual master, should be like their heads on fire, and that the guru is the water. If your head's on fire, you're just running for water, isn't it? You know, there's nothing else you need except water, a bucket of water, or you know, or a river or anything. But your head's on fire. That's all you can think. So this is how we should approach the spiritual master, with a kind of desperation is necessary for there to be. But you know, our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, used to say, is it emotion or is it devotion? So they're not always the same thing, but they may start as the same thing. It may be an emotional response that makes us there may be an emotional response that brings us initially to the feet of our Gurudev, but that's okay. That's one of the four kinds of people that surrender to the Lord. As I say, that those who are suffering, who is suffering in the world, they approach the Lord. Who is impoverished, they will approach the Lord. Who is inquisitive, and who wants to know the absolute truth. These 4 kinds of people approach the Lord. But none of those 4 things are pure. They're not pure. That's not pure devotion, but it's the beginning, because you have to start somewhere, isn't it? You can't just switch on the pure devotion. It has to start somewhere. And it also has to finish somewhere. So I think we Jam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Krishna Arjuna Ki Jai. Sri Bhagavad Gita Upanishad Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai Gaura Prabhu.
Jai Srimad Devashis Prabhu Ki Jai.